Pandemonium Reigns.
A win is a win is a win. The Bible tells us that love covers a multitude of sins. In college football, not the case. Wins cover sins. This was sloppy. It was ugly. But again, a win is a win is a win. Coming off the Alabama win, I told you that we have an identity, and it's a gritty one. We're not going to light up the scoreboard. We're going to pound it on the ground. We're going to make you earn every yard, and that's exactly what unfolded in Knoxville on Saturday night. It was dark mode, and it was a heck of an environment. My name is Dan. This is Pandemonium Reigns. I want to talk about the whole thing. Excited for you to spend the next little bit with me talking the Tennessee 28-18 win over the Kentucky Wildcats. Here's everything in a nutshell, you guys. Enjoy it, because a win is a win. Was it what everybody wanted? No, but it's a win. And if this is a loss, we're talking about this football team entirely different. We're talking about how dysfunctional we are because of all the penalties. We're talking about how we can't execute, and we're using Max Gilbert's awful night, going 0 on field goals. Yes, Nico had a better night. We're talking about drop balls, Chaz Nimrod and Brazel. This is what we're talking about, but that's not what we're talking about, because wins cover sins. So enjoy it. It is yet another win over Kentucky. Tennessee just continues to flex its dominance over this football program from the North, and I'm here for it. I was there. So the first thing that I want to talk about, because I was there, was the environment. The environment was absolutely electric that night. I texted Michael right in the middle of it, and I said, Kentucky, I don't know, has ever seen Neyland Stadium like this. I think night game had a lot to do with it. I think dark mode had a lot to do with it. I think the fact that we're fighting for a potential playoff spot had a lot to do with it. You change some of those things, normal dress, 3:30 or noon kickoff, maybe not the same environment. Probably not the same environment. The environment was electric. Absolutely electric. So before we get into to other things really quickly, I just want to address the chanting. If you are a Tennessee fan, you know where I'm about to go with this. If you're not, let me just explain ourselves. I'm not going to condone what was being chanted. I'm all right with chanting. You need to find something a little more family and wholesome. Chanting what you chanted after the fake injuries, that's just not called for, but it started with the student section. So you're basically telling a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds, don't use that word. And I'm a youth pastor. That's not going to change. That's what they're going to do. The trash that hit the field, uncalled for. But let me tell you this. It didn't come from Tennessee fans. It came off the Dylan Sampson touchdown run when everybody just bodied him into the end zone, Nico Iamaleava included, and Kentucky fans got frustrated because they felt like the whistle should have been blown, and there's an argument there. I'll just say that any other time, that call has gone against us, and they've blown it dead. They let it play out. Do I totally agree with it? I really don't. I mean, because it's just inconsistent with all the other times. But so they get frustrated, and things start to make their way to the field. Not a ton was thrown, but I'm telling you, it came from Kentucky fans. I saw it with my own eyes, all right? Some of it didn't make the field. The throw attempt fell short, and it hit band members. So take with that what you will. But I don't agree with what was being chanted, kind of coming back to that for a minute. But why we were chanting, not me, I wasn't chanting. Why Tennessee fans were chanting it's just years of frustration. We are an up-tempo offense, and anytime we start to get going, the new way to just kill that is just to lay down on the ground, fake the injury. Lane Kiffin did it 37 times in 2021 when Ole Miss came to town. 37 times. That's the reason trash ended up on the field that day, because an official stepped in and made a call which, truth be told, I thought the official got it right. I thought, if you know what I'm talking about, I thought Jacob Warren was short. The rest of the stadium did not. So it was a culmination of all that, and then the officials, what they thought was stepping in and dictating the outcome of the game. Blood temperatures rise and things hit the field. I don't agree with chanting. I don't agree with what you chanted. I mean, you find something else to say. But it's out of frustration for all the dang fake injuries. I'm totally okay with Kentucky getting a fine because you're not going to convince me that 4 of those injuries were legitimate. Not talking about Brock Vandegrift. Not talking about him. Because those other guys, especially number 11 on defense, whoever that guy is, who pitched a fit on the sideline when the coaches held him back from going in the very next play, it's fake. So we're frustrated. Do something about it. Kentucky better get a fine. Okay? So that's really all that I want to say on that. In a nutshell, man, Kentucky had the recipe for this upset. They had the recipe. We were heavily penalized, and a lot of it was right. I mean, we had committed the fouls. I don't care whether you agree with it or not. We had committed them. We were not executing. You talk about a drop touchdown from Chaz Nimrod. You talk about a drop touchdown from Brazil. You talk about 9 points being left off the board from Max Gilbert. The recipe for the upset was there. Kentucky just didn't capitalize. They just did not capitalize. So you could argue that Tennessee went out and won this. You could also argue that Kentucky went out and lost it. Truth be told, man, I don't know that I really care. It's a mark in the win column for Tennessee at the end of the day. I think Tennessee did not play its best. I think that Kentucky wanted it. They probably, arguably, wanted it more. They hate us. We hate them. Do I really want to go on record and say this? We're their Super Bowl? I mean, we always get Kentucky's best. It's just the way that it is. All right? Let's talk about Max Gilbert for a minute. 3 attempts, 3 misses, 3 really, really bad misses. In the first quarter, he hooks it from 43 yards. He hooks it or misses right later from 40 yards, and then hooks it later again, 34 yards. I'm okay with some misses, but some of those were bad. So we left points off the board. You arguably could have had a 37-18 final where Tennessee could have covered the spread. We're gritty. We don't execute well, but we are gritty. There is a lot of fight in this football team. Kentucky, they couldn't find any offense all year. Couldn't find it. They found just enough to have a potential upset conversation. The touchdown from number 9, Macklin, was immaculate. That was an incredible. If you ever played the college football video games, PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 5, sometimes the game glitches and the ball just kind of gets sucked into the hands of the receiver. Go back and watch it. That's almost like what happens. Like, how in the world did this guy catch this football? And then the 2-point attempt, he turns around and does it again. Smothered and covered like Waffle House from Boo Carter, makes the play. So they were finding it. They had some spunk about them. I wonder how differently things would have been if Brock Vandegrift doesn't legitimately get injured. But who knows? They found it. Some other thoughts here. I found it very interesting how we returned to tempo. We haven't ran tempo. The moments or the few times that we have attempted it, it's been stalled out for fake injuries, not moving the chains, whatever. We didn't really go back to it. We ran it, and I thought Nico executed it really, really well. Statistically, he was better. He was not great. 18 for 28, I want to say. Actually, I have it right here. Again, bad podcasting. 28 for 38, excuse me, I'm sorry. 292 yards and a touchdown. Arguably, could have a pick on this stat line because, I mean, it hit the hands of the defender. Just didn't make the catch. But I thought Nico was well. He did some really good things where he picks up a big 4th down conversion with his legs. late in the second quarter. I want to say with around 7 minutes left. He makes an absolutely incredible throw, rolling out right, throwing across his body to find Miles Kitzelman for the touchdown from 6-7 yards out. Just remarkable, remarkable, absolutely incredible throw. So I thought Nico was really really good. Obviously improved there again. As much as you could say what could have been with the pick, you could say the exact same thing with what could have been touchdowns from Chaz Nimrod and Brazel. It was dropped right in the bucket. Nico placed it right in the bucket for Brazel. He just doesn't come down with it. He threads one heck of a window to Chaz Nimrod. I mean, slips it in there like camel through the eye of a needle and just doesn't make the catch. He's got nothing but grass in front of him. So you could say, well, if you're going to talk about the pick, you got to talk about the touchdowns. Well, I mean, there it is. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. I think we're still continuing to get better execution wise. You saw it there, just didn't come down with it. Let's talk about Dylan Sampson for a minute. Dude's incredible. He's a workhorse, an absolute workhorse. Breaks the record, which LOL, again, kind of coming back to that. Did the officials just want him to break the record? Nonetheless, props to him for breaking that record. Great work. I imagine he would have found the end zone later that drive if it wasn't that play anyway. I wonder how much we would be talking about him more in the national media if it weren't for the Genty kid out of Boise State and potentially the kid out of Iowa who's having a fantastic year. Would love to see Dylan Sampson in that Heisman conversation. I just think there's some other people that are doing some more, hate to say this, outstanding things than Sampson is. But a lot to, I mean, a win is a win is a win, y'all. This is what I kind of just keep coming back to. I just have some other thoughts here. Again on Sampson. That's another game with a fumble. Fumbled early in the Bama game, fumbled here in the Kentucky game. Why am I thinking that he fumbled in the Oklahoma game? Am I imagining that? Man, I'm getting old is hard, y'all. Doctor's appointment tomorrow. So, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty uncharacteristic of him. I felt like he's always been pretty secure with the ball. Seems to find yards when they're not there. But talking about the backs and Dylan Sampson for a minute. Obviously, Deshaun Bishop has been the second guy, and after that, it's been a little bit of a ebb and flow. Where's Cam Seldon? I mean, I'm not disappointed because Peyton Lewis has stepped up to the scene, and he had a great drive where, I mean, he put the ball in the end zone on a scoring drive. So good for him. Big body he's the fastest player on the team, so with great speed, and he's rocking that 27. I hope he keeps that. But where's Cam Seldon? I mean, Peyton Lewis is doing the things that we thought Cam Seldon was going to do. Is it an injury? Is he not putting it together? What's going on there? Couple of other thoughts here. As much as Tennessee left things off the board, so did Kentucky. Go back with me on their very first possession where they marched the ball down the field. They go for it on fourth down, I believe in two, at least fourth down and goal, and they run a mesh concept. Two drags going across each other's face. I believe they even slip a tight end out there. So Vandergriff, yes, was under pressure, but he had Brown coming open. All he's got to do is just put it out in front of him. I say all he has to do as if it's an easy thing to do playing football. But if he puts the ball out in front of him, it's probably a score. If he puts the ball out in front of Josh Gaddis, the tight end, he might have had it. I want to say probably, but I mean, he had a better chance than the guy that he actually chose, who had a defender underneath and the over top in the direction of his route. It just wasn't there. So Kentucky did things to hurt themselves as well. They were also penalized, like we were. here's how the rest of these games are going to unfold. We're going to commit penalties, and we're going to force other teams to commit penalties, just because that's the way our defense is, right? We cause a lot of pressure. We cause people to get out of their game, so to speak. But a last little thing here, man, Will freaking Brooks. Holy crap. I'll just say this. If he keeps his trajectory outside towards the boundary as opposed to infield, he might have scored. Boo Carter might have been able to pick up that block. He might have found the end zone. Doesn't matter. Nico finds Kitzelman on the scoring play later anyway, so it's touchdown Tennessee anyway. One more little thought here. Turrentine's pick. He makes a great interception off of a tip drill. I thought he had a good night. Man, a win is a win is a win. If this thing is a loss, man, we're talking about all the sins that Tennessee has, and we have a lot of them. It's funny how we're so late in the season with Mississippi State, Georgia, UTEP, Vanderbilt with 4 games left to play, and we're still kind of sloppy, pretty dang sloppy, especially in the penalty department. So, man, with all that said, enjoy it, Tennessee fans. It's fun. Winning is going to cover sins. Winning is going to cover sins. It's going to do it. But enjoy it. I enjoyed it. The stadium was absolutely electric. It was a blast to be there. I had so much fun. Had great seats. Row A had back to my seats. Lower deck all the way down. Absolutely fantastic. I could get into the statistics of this game, but I just really don't think it tells the story at all, because if you tell me things like, Kentucky rushes for 168 yards, I'm going, oh, crap. That's really uncharacteristic of us. We allow 160. That might be a loss. If you tell me that Brock Vandagriff, I think, is like 59, 60% or something like that, I'll go, oh, shoot. But that wasn't the case. I mean, he was 10 for 17, 123, touchdown and a pick. Same thing for Wimsatt. Touchdown and a pick, 4 for 10, 69 yards. If you don't look at the rushing yards from a net perspective, they outrush us. So, if you show me all the penalties that we have, if you tell me that Braswell has a drop touchdown, if you tell me that Nimrod has a drop touchdown, I'm like, oh my gosh, this might be a loss, because I know Kentucky's going to come after us. It's what they do. But a lot of good things. As sloppy as it was, still a lot of good things. But that's all I got. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I know this was a quick one. Looking forward to hopefully hanging up and lining up the scoreboard against Mississippi State, what should be. But I thought we were going to do this against Kentucky too. But this, please, dear God, go hang 70. Get right, because we're traveling to Georgia. Just announced that it's going to be a night game for that one. So get better, get right. Georgia is gettable. You need to continue to improve. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Make sure you hit like on this, subscribe to the channel. Enjoy it, Vol fans. We're winning ball games, and it's awesome. The playoffs are still right in front of us. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day. God bless. Go Vols.